Okay, folks are coming in. This is AI Live EMEA. This is the last session of today, but we have a whole slate of sessions tomorrow. So please enjoy this session, and then please do come back for a whole slate of sessions tomorrow. Right now, we're going to dive in with the EdVerve folks, who are our sponsors, and we want to thank them for that. Automation Singularity, achieving enterprise agility and scalability through a human digital workforce. My friend Shrikant is going to be presenting this. So we'll go to the next slide, perhaps, if you can, Shrikant. And there you see, he's the Associate Director of Product Management. He and I have done this many times before. So Shrikant, I'll hand it over to you. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Sure, thanks Ed, and welcome everyone to this session. Just to introduce myself, so I head the product management for a product called AssistEdge at the EdVerve. And if you have any questions, you can either post it in the chat window during this session, or you can always reach out to us on the links that we have given at the end. So just moving on, before we jump into the concept of automation singularity, let us first understand why that is needed. And these are some very obvious facts and statistics that enterprises are undergoing a huge churn with deep competition, and almost every year and every decade, the turn in technologies, the turn in customer expectations means that the enterprises have to evolve very, very fast nowadays. And of course, that will require for enterprises to evolve, it will require them to have agility. So why they should have looking at the driving agility is obviously because the customer satisfaction is one of the key parameters nowadays to retain customer loyalty is undergoing a significant change. Business productivity, of course, is also resulting in significant changes in the whole industry, how they are operating. Operational efficiency can also be driven through agility. Things like 60 to 90% reduction in cycle times is something which is today achievable with the technologies like RPA, AI, and ML. And then, of course, all of that will in turn drive the revenue growth. So any business parameter that you look at today, agility is one of the key factors that will drive any of those business factors. And then how can RPA drive the business outcomes? So some of these agility related factors that we talked about naturally have a direct correlation with the technologies that are driving those. And RPA is definitely at the forefront of these technologies. So we did a survey of some of our clients as well as the other clients of who have adopted and tried out RPA. And the reasons why they have been using RPA is almost 2/3 have been doing it to improve the customer experience. Almost 85% are doing to improve the agility in their business processes, and almost equal number has been doing it for business scalability and flexibility. So in short, agility drives the business outcomes, and RPA has been proven to be a technology that drives the business agility. So naturally, we are seeing more and more adoption of RPA. We are also seeing more and more scaling of RPA implementations across the globe. So then why is this new concept called automation singularity? Okay, why do we need this concept? What does it even mean? Automation singularity actually refers to a highly customer-centric and agility-oriented state of enterprise, where the enterprise is constantly improving, constantly optimizing through a workforce which is a combination of digital and human. So essentially what we are looking at when we talk about automation singularity is a state of an enterprise which is going to be a result of a significant adoption of technologies like RPA, AI, ML, and all other different technologies that are currently driving agility. When all of these technologies are adopted by the clients and enterprises, and a suite of digital workers are created, what this will result in is a combination of a human and digital workers in an enterprise. But the end state of this entire journey is what we refer to as an automation singularity. So it's a obviously a happy end state where the enterprise has become so much agile that it can actually drive the customer centricity throughout the organization and not just in the customer facing part of the enterprise. Okay. Just taking this further, this concept is, as I mentioned, we see this as an end state or the end goal of the entire automation journey. As most of you would have known, the automation journey started with RPA, which is primarily the deterministic automation, which is the rule-based process automation. It is currently evolving into intelligent automation, where in addition to the rule-based processes, tasks which require data-driven decision-making are also being taken by the bots. And that's because the RPA is now sort of marrying with the AI and ML technologies to drive the intelligent automation. But as we say, the way we see this evolving is a combination of these human and digital workers working together and reaching a stage where the bots are self-optimizing. The entire automation is holistic across the human and digital workers. And the workforce is, while it is continued to be empowered by the human, but it is primarily driven by the automation. And that is what we see as the end state of automation maturity, which we call it as a automation singularity. And how this will get happen is primarily because of the two factors that I talked about. The first is the merging of the intelligent part of it, which is the AI and ML technologies, along with the RPA. And that has resulted into intelligent automation or levels of intelligence in the automation. Currently, we are primarily, most of the implementations that we see as a practitioners are primarily into the basic automation stage, which is primarily the rule-based data deterministic automations. But we also see a lot of interest in the enhanced automation, where instead of now looking at purely rule-based, the clients are also looking at limited unstructured data, certain documents like invoices, purchase orders, and other documents to look at the unstructured data, and also using the cloud-based external intelligence services, for example, sentiment analysis or semantic analytics kind of services from the cloud. But this is primarily used to enhance or augment the rule-based automation that the RPA is able to do. The next stage of this will be advanced task augmentation, which is basically a step further from just a very limited unstructured data handling, and where the bots start handling variety of data forms, being autonomous in many situations, taking their own sort of decisions, which will obviously result in significant productivity gains, and more importantly, it will also result in prediction capabilities for the bots. This level 4 will be sub-autonomous, where the bots are now being aware of the context of the process that they execute. They understand the business data. They also have typically their own machine learning embedded within that to not only understand the context, but also being able to predict and self-heal if required. So self-heal in case of outages, handling some of the basic challenges or exceptions on their own, and only rely on humans for complex exception management. And finally, the autonomous state of intelligent automation will be where the bots are completely context aware, auto-adjust, they can even define their own end objectives and start executing towards that. Obviously, that's a stage that will take significant amount of time, very unique and very comprehensive capabilities. But what we believe is that the RPA industry will evolve towards this intelligent automation, and we are already seeing some of the clients talking about level 3 and even level 4 in few cases. The other factor that is driving the automation singularity concept and the journey, as we talked about, is the resurgence of the attended automation. Primarily, RPA has been sort of adopted in the industry today as unattended automation, which practically means that the bot sits on a virtual machine, monitored and managed remotely by some administrators. But as many of the early adopters of RPA have realized, this form of automation, which is the unattended automation, has its own limits. The reason being that there are many situations, scenarios, and tasks which will require a human intervention for a variety of reasons. In some cases, it's because there has to be a human touch involved in the whole task that is being executed. The primary example is the customer service or the contact center industry, where the human touch is very much required to ensure that you maintain your customer connect. In certain cases, it's also required to take certain critical and crucial decisions from a business perspective. So we talked about being handled by either bots or the humans. There are many scenarios where the bots, even today, cannot be taught to handle all kinds of exceptions, and hence certain complex exceptions have to go to humans to be able to handle it. Another situation where humans have to intervene is for some critical business decisions. So one of the examples in what we have seen is, for example, where there is a high dollar amount involved. Usually, in order to maintain the audit, in order to maintain the compliance objectives, the business would want to ensure that a human is always involved in making those decisions. So even if the bot can potentially take a decision or can generate, collate, and predict the data and decisions, however, a human is still required to take the final call. Finally, there are many scenarios, even in the back office, not necessarily in the front office, where the humans need to trigger a certain bot on their machine, execute a task, and come back for them to continue working on their normal day-to-day work. So there are many productivity sort of gains that can be achieved, even with the bots which are sitting on the human machines. So these scenarios require a different flavor of what is typically referred to as attended automation, which means that while the automation or the bot is still executing a task, a human is also involved in either triggering the tasks or taking a certain crucial decision or handling exceptions from the bots. So at different stages of the task execution, a human is involved, whereas the bot is doing most of the work. So the reason why these two factors, which is the emergence of the intelligence automation and resurgence of the attended automation, these two have driven the whole concept of automation singularity. Because what's happening is that the bots are becoming more and more smarter, but the humans are also getting involved in the entire automation journey and driving the automation journey towards better and better business results. So what these two factors drive is that instead of RPA now being restricted to only doing certain operational tasks that were repetitive, that were deterministic, that were taking a lot of unnecessary time of humans, Now RPA is breaking that boundary and getting into tasks which are more complex, which are more uh, decision oriented, but which are also driving a major critical business agility. Okay. So now RPA is sort of gaining ground into many areas which it was not getting entry into. And that is driving business agility to a large extent. And that in turn, we believe is driving this whole automation into an area where the human and digital workers can now actually coexist, not just coexist, but actually drive the entire business together. So just to give examples of what value the combination of human and digital workers can generate. In one of our telecom customers, 98% first contact center issues were resolved in the first touch. Okay, so the entire challenge of repetitive calls for the similar problems was significantly reduced because we were able to augment the contact center agents with intelligent attended automation. For a large retailer, we were able to drop the processing time for orders by almost 75%. Again, using predictive capabilities of the bots and also executing the tasks in a far more efficient manner. For a leading automotive company, we have reached a stage. They have reached a stage where the invoice posting process has actually zero errors. And again, this is possible because of automation being applied and reducing any human induced errors. Okay, because bots execute exactly as they have been trained to do, and hence the errors in the invoice posting have significantly reduced. Similarly, another example of attended automation where for another telecom customer based out of Australia, we were able to reduce the average handling time for some of the common problems for which the customers call by almost 8 times. Okay. So that results in significant improvement, not just in the productivity of those agents, but also has helped them improve the customer satisfaction significantly. And what does this whole journey look like? Okay, so when we talk about journey towards the automation singularity or the entire automation journey itself, we believe, and based on our experience of working with 300 plus enterprise clients, is that this journey typically goes through 3 stages: discover, automate, and orchestrate. So discover primarily means identifying the right candidates for automation, doing the automation discovery, figuring out which processes can be automated by which technologies, and picking up processes which gives the quick and quick and significant benefits, so that the entire automation program can become a self-funded program. So for this, Assistage has an offering called Assistage Discover, which helps the enterprises craft and manage their automation blueprint and craft the entire roadmap for automation. Automate is the stage where we actually execute the automations, be it in the form of unattended RPA, be it in the form of attended automation, or in the form of cognitive or intelligent automation. Automate stage obviously helps you realize the value from automation, and Assistage again has offerings specific for RPA, but also specific for contact center attended automation, which is called Assistage Engage. And finally, once you have reached a scale on your digital workforce, enterprises typically need to orchestrate the entire workforce and work according to the human and digital workers that are existing. So to accelerate this entire digital workforce journey, we are coming up with a product called Assistage Orchestrate, which will be launched very soon. So in a sense, the entire journey of an enterprise implementing automation to achieve business agility and to drive the business benefits go through these stages of discover, automate, and orchestrate. And Assistage is the most holistic and comprehensive platform that is a true partner of the enterprises in their entire journey. So when enterprises go through this entire journey of automation singularity, what do they need to be aware of? What do they need to take care of? So some of the things based on, again, our experience of doing this in many enterprise clients is that we have categorized those learnings into 4 categories: people, technology, risk management, and governance. So people primarily, the enterprises have to drive a culture towards innovation and rapid learning. And to do that, it is important to democratize the entire knowledge of RPA, automation, AI, and ML technologies. So this encourages knowledge sharing, eliminates the silos, and also helps enterprises to reskill the people towards the new paradigms of a human and digital workforce. Technology-wise, of course, the technologies that enterprises choose have to focus on business outcomes and not necessarily tied up to a particular tool or a process. Identifying the right technology options based on the context. Okay, so this is extremely important, especially because the plethora of technologies that are there in today in artificial intelligence or machine learning can really confuse an enterprise buyer. Okay? So it's important that you choose a platform which actually helps you pick the right technology for a specific use case, for a specific need. And finally, ensuring interoperability between different technologies and tools that you choose is extremely important. Risk management is also obviously crucial. It is important to develop framework around potential risks to enable informed decision making, and a platform like Orchestrate allows you to build this kind of framework because you have the visibility of not just your digital workers, but also the entire infrastructure that is driving those digital workers. You also have to develop risk control measures and ensure that you are on top of your not just on implementation of workforce, but also the audit and compliance related aspects of those. And finally, on the governance side, it's extremely important to align automation goals to strategic priorities, because that's what is going to drive the adoption of automation across the enterprise. And again, tools like Assistage Discover really helps you with that, because it helps you create, even at the start of your automation journey, it helps you create an entire automation blueprint and a roadmap to show you how you can drive the automation throughout the enterprise and can help achieve the business goals. Focus on competency creation using either a COE model, which is quite famous, or even in a distributed model, having a trained workforce on AI and RPA will always help. And finally, establishing systems and metrics to benchmark around business objectives. So essentially tying back the implemented digital workforce towards its original goals. So again, platforms like Assistage Discover and Assistage Orchestrate can really help in doing that. So in a sense, focused investments in these 4 areas, people, technology, risk management, and governance, can really help enterprises in driving their entire enterprise towards the goal of automation singularity, but more importantly, towards achieving the goal of business agility to manage and maintain their position in this rapidly changing global and competitive environment. With this, I will take a pause and we will take questions now. While we can take certain questions at this stage, if you have any more questions, if you feel about writing to us, please feel free to reach out to us at this email ID that has been mentioned here.
Okay, great. And yeah, we've got some questions. Definitely. I want to make sure that folks take the poll as well. Maybe let's go ahead and answer some questions in the meantime, Shrikant. So the first one to you is, how could you describe the KPI of, oh wait, the poll just popped up. So let's let folks take the poll. What would you like to do? Speak to an automation expert about AssistEdge and Automation Singularity, request to see a demonstration of AssistEdge and be future ready, or know more about AssistEdge and Automation Singularity. These are your only 3 options. Please do answer at least one of them. Just a note to, I guess, myself and you, Shrikant, that we are not permitted to vote. But we'll give folks a chance to, to kind of choose their own adventure on the poll. And while they do that, let's answer these questions. So how could you describe the KPI of digital transformation in banking? What are the main trends in digital banking? How would you answer that, Shrikant?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good question. So banking and financial services in general obviously have been at the forefront of adopting new technologies, and RPA is no exception. A lot of RPA technology today is driven by the banking customers. What we have seen in our banking customers as part of our RPA journey, but in general also, is that digital transformation obviously has been one of the key priorities for banking. That's because their entire business today is actually moving towards, has been moving towards digital. For a bank which is moving towards a digital journey, some of the key KPIs that they have to look at is of course in terms of how many customers have been reaching out to them through digital channels as compared to a sort of a traditional channels like bank branches or ATMs and things like that. The second KPI, what we have also seen banks being used, is what's the cross and upsell they are able to do using the digital channels as compared to the traditional channels. And again, we have seen a significant uptake in cross-sell and upsell if the digital channels, specifically like the contact centers and the chatbots and AI-enabled virtual assistants are being used effectively, the cross-sell and upsell is significantly high. And finally,
go ahead, please.
Finally, another trend that we are also seeing in digital banking is towards reducing the entire cycle time. Okay, be it from a customer's sort of requests or even in terms of the business outcome. They are significantly reducing the cycle times, and RPA, automation, and AI is driving significantly towards it.
Great. Okay, we do have more questions, so I want to get to those. We have a question here. Can no ops scenario practical for I guess is a no ops scenario practical for IT operations? Does it not include human interactions with bots?
Yeah, so IT ops, absolutely. We believe that it will include human interaction with the bots. Certain tasks, for example, like server maintenance or even machine maintenance to a certain extent, can be potentially completely automated without any human intervention. But we strongly believe that there are many areas, even in IT ops today, which will continue to require human interaction. No ops scenario, while it is good to talk about right now, I think it's a bit far from reality.
Okay. What is, and we have a number of questions, so I want to make sure to get through them. What is intelligent automated, what is intelligent, this is so easy for me. What is intelligent attended automation? Are you talking about cognitive automation?
Yeah. Again, good question. No, I'm not talking about cognitive automation. cognitive automation is a much broader term, and cognitive, in fact, is a I would say it's much used, but probably incorrectly used term. Cognitive automation primarily deals with bots that can self-heal, that can self-learn, that can uh, understand the entire context of the entire environment. Okay? Which I think we are a bit far away. I mean, at least to some extent, far away from where we are. Okay? I would probably call where we are in the entire RPA industry is as an intelligent automation, which means that bots today can understand data to some extent, can predict based on certain patterns that they can come up with using the machine learning capabilities, and they can to some extent also have capabilities like vision, semantic analysis, or sentiment analysis. But to call it as a cognitive automation will be a bit stretch. Okay? So I would probably call current situation as more of a intelligent automation. And yes, there are unattended and attended scenarios in both of in it.
Understood. Okay. If a business process has a few manual touch points, and this person fears that most will, how can we achieve autonomous state, i.e. end-to-end process automation? Does level 5 automation in automation maturity, is that applicable only for a few processes actually?
Absolutely. So again, very intelligent question. And this is exactly the concept that we are talking about when we talk about automation singularity. This is you're perfectly right when you say that business processes will have manual touch points. Okay? The question is, how can you seamlessly integrate the human touch points with the automation and still derive the benefits, the productivity benefits that automation can achieve? So in a sense, you can still do an end-to-end process automation, although it may not look like a current RPA where it is completely unattended. It will be a combination of attended and unattended, which is what we would call it as a true end state.
Okay. When are we going to use artificial intelligence in Assist Edge? Oh, that's a loaded question, Shrikant.
It is. So I would like to say that we are already using artificial intelligence in Assist Edge. We recently launched Assist Edge version 18.0 in August this year. And this version primarily comes with a lot of AI and ML capabilities, which are embedded within the RPA bots. So today you do not have to actually go out and use external services, but you can actually build a lot of intelligence within the RPA bots using Assist Edge 18.0.
Okay. Have you and your company worked also for clients applying AI in marketing, and what might be some of those use cases? And so for this person, certainly please email contact@edgeverve.com, because I'm sure that they've got a ton of use cases that they can share, but at least for the purposes of this session, again, I'll ask the question, have you and your company worked for clients applying AI in marketing, and what use cases might you be able to mention here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have done that, and I think some of the common use cases that what we have seen is, of course, in the lead prioritizations, and also in terms of matching the leads with the or even predicting the outcome of the leads. Okay, so we have done certain machine learning projects in which we have used the data of the obviously of the past lead to lead conversion to predict a certain percentage of how a lead might pan out over a period of time. There are many more use cases. I think it will be good if this person can write to us so that we can go back with more details.
There we go. Okay, and maybe somebody from the EdVerve team can chat with this person in the side here. I had a couple of questions, if you don't mind, just
Sure.
to kind of round us out and give folks a chance to ask any more questions that they might have. you and I have had this conversation before. I'd love to to offer the opportunity to have it again. You guys are mentioning the word singularity, and that is, in some circles fraught with danger. And so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to unpack automation singularity. And I know that you make sure to put the word human right next to it after the colon. But share the mindset there.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, also what we see this whole space evolving, and we believe that we are probably at a very early lapse of a long marathon that we are running here. Okay, in this whole automation space. The way we see this is that obviously the bots are becoming intelligent, more productive, more capable, but we also cannot ignore the inherent human capabilities that the humans will continue to have. Okay? So the way we see this concept when we talk about automation singularity, and as you know, any singularity means that there are multiple paths that are merging and reaching to a stage of like a end state kind of thing. Okay, and this is exactly what we see here. Okay, the human potential, the human capabilities are merging with the bot productivity and intelligence that they are building. Okay? And those two together are resulting in a state of enterprise which is far more agile, far more customer centric, and far more adaptive to the outside world as compared to what we have today. And this is possible even for enterprises which are large scale, okay, which are typically considered like a gorillas in the world today. Okay, even for them, this state is possible because of the power of automation singularity.
Mm. And just as a final thought here, I don't think that we have any more questions. This will probably be the last one. Just unpack, what you're thinking as far as digital transformation, big picture.
So, as I said at the earlier in the earlier slides, digital transformation is becoming a sort of almost like a must-have for any enterprise, irrespective of the industry in which they are operating in. Okay, earlier it was thought to be a prerogative or need of companies in a certain industries like banking, financial services, retail, and things like that. But today, even if you take an enterprise like an industry like a manufacturing or a logistic, okay, even they have to completely transform themselves digitally to remain competitive, even to remain relevant in the industry. Okay? And there are obviously each industry has taken its own path of digital transformation. A lot of enterprises have focused only on the customer side of it, while keeping the back office as it is. But now they are realizing the challenges, because if the back office remains inefficient, if the back office remains very slow, then irrespective of what you do on the customer side, you are really not a digital company. So I think technologies like automation, AI, ML, and the combination of all of that, which is the intelligent automation, it can actually drive the digital transformation from inside of the organization, okay? And not just to show to the outside world or to interact with the customers, but you actually become digital from the ground up, okay? And that is when you really are truly digital in its true sense, and also reaching towards this nirvana state that we are talking about in the automation singularity.
There we go. That's a perfect way to end. Shrikant, thank you so much. Appreciate you and the EdVerve team and all of our presenters for today. We have a whole nother slate of presenters tomorrow. I'm just going to quickly go through those. We're on Central European time, of course, starting at 8 a.m., just like we did today, taking AI action with Anshuman Das. We go into the power of the cloud with Kofax. We go to democratizing AI with Brilio, optimizing your AI talent with Uber, and finishing the day with building AI ready enterprises with TCS. So a whole nother slate tomorrow, and it's just from 8 a.m. to 10:30. So a nice compact amount of time in your day, a bunch of sessions for that. So Shrikant, again, thank you so much. EdVerve, thank you. All of the participants in this session and for today, very much appreciate your time and very much looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you, everyone.